Hey, I'm Lauren, certified building biologist, wellness interior designer, and healthy home educator. I want to welcome you to the House Holistics podcast, where we explore how healthy buildings create healthy people. I'll be bringing you life-enhancing conversations with some of the brightest minds in the world. Perhaps your full potential is on the other side of a healthier environment. I'm your host, Lauren Reday. Let's go deeper. Well, if you've ever wondered if your home could be affecting your health, it might be time to get a healthy home inspection. And so I have the privilege of hosting Jonathan with JF Healthy Homes today on the podcast. And he's going to be sharing with us how building biology practitioners can assess indoor air quality, look at VOCs, EMF, water quality testing. I mean, the works. The average American we know spends 90% of their time indoors, and at least 1 in 3 of those homes globally have health hazards. And that looks like toxic materials, pollutants, mold, poor ventilation, etc. And so every building biology practitioner has a unique specialty. And so Jonathan has really created his own unique special sauce of how he's helping clients assess what's going on with their home. So Jonathan, I'm so excited to have you on the House Holistics podcast today. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Lauren. It's a privilege to be here and good to see you again.
Yes, it's been a while since we saw each other last. It would have been, I guess, at our building biology environmental indoor air quality training, or was it the EMF training?
Man, I don't know. My brain is like a toxic soup right now. So
Hopefully,
usually most days.
hopefully you're not absorbing the toxins though from your clients' homes.
Yeah. I mean, there's some crossover for sure. We use a lot of PPE and whatnot, but yeah, there is a definitely a level of I got my cholesterol right here, so there's definitely a level of exposure. So that's a kind of an important thing too, right? Is not becoming like a martyr, and because then I can't help anyone.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, yeah, I think it was the EMRS. I want to say
that's right.
I believe. Was it during the hurricane?
No, it was in December during Christmas. So it was the advanced EMF. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Were you there for the one during the hurricane?
Mm-mm.
I thought you were there for that one.
You
No?
were like the
Okay.
fifth person to assume I was there, which is so funny because y'all must have trauma bonded or something. And yeah, everyone's like, you were there, right? And I was like, no, I wasn't.
We just we loved having you there, so we just assumed that you were there, in spirit. Yeah, it was a whole lot of trauma bonding for sure.
Well, we all kind of have this
Crazy.
love of the indoor environment and how it affects us as humans, positively and negatively. And so it was really cool to meet you, Jonathan, and kind of hear your passion about this whole space. I mean, you have a personal story that I'd like to get into a little bit later about how you got into this sector of work because you've personally been impacted by home hazards. So can you tell the audience what you do with JF Healthy Homes and how you're helping homeowners by assessing their homes? I think more people, once they kind of understand what you have to offer and what a building biology assessment looks like, I think more people would be like, oh, I need this.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that everyone, honestly, almost anyone could use, and I kind of do for myself repeatedly just to make sure things are dialed in. But yeah, so essentially, JF Healthy Homes was started out of exactly that, is just being so ill, not having answers, getting a lot of like really not great assessments with no direction or any next steps, or just someone coming in like a mold inspector and saying that you have no issue after they run some air samples. And that just became like immensely frustrating because I knew, just like going through my story, I knew about a lot about EMF at that time, more after we went to building biology, but the mold side of it is just, it's expansive. Like the whole biotoxin sphere is very expansive. So having to kind of become my own advocate. And I was going through that as I was going to
I
BBI, and I
remember
know you and
that.
I talked about it a lot. And so that like really shaped understanding it, is just kind of going through it myself and struggling through it and trying to scour and find answers, and luckily learn from some really great people and continue to learn. So that's where JF Healthy Homes came from, is just trying to help myself, help my family feel better. My kids were getting sick, and just an immense amount of frustration. And then finally just, going to building biology, and then going to get my certification for residential mold inspection, and then starting the company to help other people. And that was just out of like, I honestly was doing it for a little while I was doing my full-time job, and I just couldn't sustain doing both, because I mean, it's like this weird dichotomy, because it's like I'm so grateful that it's the adoption rate, and like that there's like so much demand, but then at the same time you like think and you're like, wait, but like, is it a good thing that there's so much demand for this?
Right.
Like, and that's like what I always tell people. I'm like, I honestly wish I never had to do what we're doing. I think it's amazing. I think it's great. I feel blessed and
Hmm.
super grateful to help people, but it should never be a thing. Like, we should not even have this company to go into a home and like make it healthy in like this slew of different ways and assess all these different things. But that's just where we're at. So
Hmm.
I think as we change building and as we change mindsets,
Hmm.
we're really going to be able to dial that in, and I'll probably be out of a job at some point,
Hmm.
hopefully.
Well,
Fingers
hopefully we
crossed.
all work each other out of a job, because
Yep.
you're right. It is really unfortunate and sad that there are whole careers where we are studying why the built environment is impacting humans. I was just telling
Yep.
someone the other day that the building biology, it's a branch of building science, and it actually came about in the 1960s, as you know, Jonathan. But for listeners, it came about because there were people that were living in European housing post World War II, and their health was being observed and they were getting really sick. And it's because that was the first time humans have ever lived in synthetic, man made, petroleum based structures. And so a group of people collaborated, doctors, architects, got together, and building biology was formed. So this whole industry was formed because people were getting sick from the built environment for the first time in history. So we have a
Yep.
lot of work to do to continue to correct the ship, but I'm so grateful that you are offering this resource from a really heart-centered place, and a place of personal experience. You've personally dealt with exposure. So, um, Jonathan, if a client calls you, kind of give us like some examples of what folks are needing in their home environments. Is it mold? Is it EMF? Is it all of the above? Are you checking off all the boxes when you go into a home? Kind of walk us through a typical building biology inspired inspection.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I feel you on all that, Lauren. It's pretty crazy
Yeah.
how recent that change has kind of come about, and how much damage it's done and is doing
Yeah.
currently and continues to do. So that's why I'm so grateful for people like you too, and all the work that you do, and really look up to you as,
Oh,
honestly, not just a classmate, but a mentor. So really, really
most
grateful to be
definitely.
here. Just want to say that. Um, but yeah, so for our inspections, clients usually reach out of illness, right? Typically, it's not preventative, or just out of like an interest. Although some, like, we have gotten some like that where it's like, hey, I want to make sure my kids' room is optimized. I want to make sure my health overall is optimized. And those typically are like the less mold centered or biotoxin centered ones. We like to kind of group those together, like mold slash biotoxin, because that's a very important thing that I think, on a tangent, which I'll try to control my tangents, because I have many of them in my brain. With the mold thing, like right now, social media is like completely putting mold on this pedestal as if it's like the only thing that could ever harm us in the home.
Right.
And while I don't disagree that it's extremely harmful, especially in the mycotoxin aspect, I think the biotoxin sphere is very important, right? And that's where we have really cool people like Biotoxin Lady, Dorninger, and like all these other kind of SIRS X group people who are
Mhm.
really bringing about this very huge, expansive understanding of, it's not just mold, right? There's a whole other world out there. So sorry for my tangent, but
No, we like tangents around
yeah.
here.
So okay, good. I'll do more of them then. So, yeah, so they, a lot of clients are calling because of mold illness or because of SIRS, MCAS, like these different, titles for illnesses, right? Different symptoms. Um, and they want to know what's going on in the home, or their practitioner has told them, hey, you need an inspection in the home. Kind of a slew of different reasons, or someone, has a sick child, or they just want better sleep. It's like kind of like all across the spectrum, honestly. Um, and then they reach out and we kind of, just chat with them, see what they need, give them a proposal on what we'd like to do, and then show up. And we used to silo it a little bit more, which I think we may start doing a little bit more as well, because not everyone's super interested in like the EMF stuff typically, which is unfortunate, because I think in like it's going to be one of those things in like 5 years, I think, where everyone's like, oh, you know what, I think EMF is a big problem, and I
Yeah.
think you and me are going to be like, I'll just walk out the door right now.
I mean, think about the giants that have gone before us too,
Yeah.
Stephen Collette, Paula Baker Laporte, Larry Gust. I mean, those folks have been in this field for, I don't know, decades. And I'm
Yep.
sure they had moments where they were like, yeah, in 5 years, I'm sure everybody will want
Yeah, 5 years is always the
want to implement these strategies, but they like have still been in this field because they've been dedicated to it. And so I think in 5 years,
Yep.
absolutely, a lot of people will wake up to it. And also, those are the
Yep.
people that need the most help, or are those that are coming to, oh gosh, like, yeah, like how do I reduce the electromagnetic radiation in my home? Like, it would be really nice
Yep.
to call a building biology practitioner and have them do a whole home EMF assessment, and that way you
Yep.
can help people so just swiftly, I would say, is the word that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Is assessments give people swift answers, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's what I tell people with EMF too. It's like mold. I mean, usually for assessments, we're there no less than 8 hours. Like that's pretty much a
Yeah.
minimum, just because of how thorough we are. I think I was in a house till like 8:30 last night,
Wow.
from 11 in the morning to then, and it was two of us, right? I have
Uh-huh.
I have another co-inspector coming on now, so
Okay.
that's been really helpful. But yeah, I mean, it takes time, and so you get like, we come behind a lot of inspectors, right? And like, I don't say that's like throw shade or like be mean. I think there's like a huge disservice being done to people. I don't think it's like nefarious. I think it's just out of education,
Right.
lack of knowledge, unfortunately. I don't know everything. I'm not like the god of inspections and know all there is to
Mhm.
know. Like, I'm always learning. It's over 120 houses now, I think,
Wow.
in less than a year,
Wow.
and I still feel like I know like, minimal amount to what I could learn. And I think that's not saying I'm a great inspector, but I think that's what makes like a great inspector in the end, right? Is like not being so certain of things, not just being like closed off and being like, I know everything. Like, I've had this much experience, da 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 da. I've learned here and there. It's like, you just got to be open
Mhm.
to it, because I still see things 100 houses in where I'm like, wow, never seen that before. Like,
Mhm.
that's a new thing. Like, why is that happening? And then try to help the client from that standpoint, right? It's never like an ego, self, self, uh, aggrandizing kind of pursuit. It should always be in service of others, and
Mhm.
that's really like, I think that's where like the empathetic approach is really important, right? This other co-inspector, Aaron, I have on, like, he's been through it. I helped him and his family, and now he's coming on. So like, you almost have to
Wow.
like have gone through your own personal
Yes.
struggle with it to like understand fully and to be able to give that to other people. Um, but yeah, I totally agree. Like, especially with EMF, like, I, I don't like EMF, but I like assessing
It's
EMF, because
fun.
you can make like, yeah, it's super fun, it's
Yeah.
super interesting, and I get super nerdy and geeky and all that,
Yeah.
but get to use all these different tools and stuff.
Beep, beep, beep,
But
beep.
beep boops, beep boops. But
Nerd alert.
like yeah, major freaking nerd.
So am
But you
I.
can like, hey, that's what makes us
Yeah.
great, you know? Uh, but that's like, you can leave that day typically, and there's already
Yes.
success, right? Like
Yeah.
with mold, biotoxins, it's a long drawn out thing.
Mm.
It's painful. It's money after money, because I'm just the beginning typically, and then it's remediation, bringing us back for post remediation verification, rebuild. Like, it's
Mhm.
just like, immense. You know, EMF can get like expensive, as you know,
Mhm,
but typically like we can leave that day, and I already have a few like solutions implemented for the
mhm,
client where it's like you're gonna sleep better tonight,
mhm,
or like you're gonna start feeling better ASAP. Like these are already implemented. We've already lowered it this much, and the data, right? Like with EMF, there's so much data, like
mhm,
hard facts. We can say this is how much we lowered it at the end of the day when you're leaving. It's like that's pretty incredible.
mhm.
So, but
Yeah,
yeah, we have some incredible colleagues like Nate and Chuck Keene, who are just incredible
yeah.
masters. Kathy Cook, the greats.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I'm ranting now, so sorry.
I'm just blown away that you've done 120 healthy home inspections in 1 year.
Yep, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And I mean, because we started in July, so I think it'll probably be 200 by the end of the year. I think our first year.
You have helped so
Um,
many people.
Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it. And I'm not saying that number to be like, look at how awesome we
No,
are,
but it's
but it's like
significant.
it's crazy. And I was in Hawaii with
Yeah.
Kathy Cook, and that was our 100th inspection.
Wow.
Pretty insane. And I like realized that day, I was like, I asked my wife Marty, who does all the operations, and I was like, hey, can we check like,
Mhm,
check our records and see like how many houses we've done?
mhm,
Because I just had like a random thought. And she was like, oh man, today's like our 100th house.
mhm,
And I'm like, that is wild.
mhm.
Wild.
That means you're getting or you've received 120 phone calls or emails or inquiries of, "Hey, I think something's up with my home. Can you come assess
Yeah.
it?"
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, that it definitely means that. I mean, some we're unfortunately unable to go to, or we do like even virtual consulting for them. Like
Mhm,
we've done that for EMF. Sometimes for mold too, like we'll send swabs out to people and then kind of go over, tell them what to swab and, how we can help in that regard, or ERMES, or,
mhm,
we'll say qPCR for the proper name. Um, Tests like that, where it's like we travel a lot. We're trying to kind of hone that in a little bit. But we want to help everyone
mhm,
that comes to us, and that's hard.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool you were in Hawaii. Was that, were there just several clients that needed healthy home inspections and you and Kathy collaborated on that? Tell me more.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So actually, the first client who reached out was from our previous Microbalance appearance, which we love Microbalance, great company. And we had done like a live with them,
Mhm,
and some other things like an article and whatnot. Which are actually about to have a live with them this week too. Um, and they reached out because they needed help. They had, a few inspections, I believe. They did some of the testing on their own, and they're just still dealing with symptoms and issues. And it's
yeah.
Hawaii. I mean, there's so much humidity and rainfall and
Mhm,
poor building practices. And talk about EMF. Like the EMF problems there are pretty wild, So yeah, I reached out to Kathy. I was like, hey, I'm okay. I'm gonna go to Hawaii. We got like a couple more clients on, and then I reached out to Kathy because she's my mentor.
mhm.
And I was like, hey, I'm going to Hawaii. And then she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, do you want to come? Just out of the blue. And she's like, yeah, sure. So,
That's awesome.
so she, Kathy and me and my wife and my kids, we all went to Hawaii, to the Big Island, and we stayed with
Yeah.
the family that we were helping. Really, really beautiful, beautiful family. Shakti and Levi and their wonderful kids. They had like an Airbnb on their
Mhm,
on their land out there, so it was really beautiful. We got to help them and kind of take a little bit more time too, which was nice because we were
mhm,
staying there for a while, for a week. So we got to do that, and then yeah, we were able to help some other people
mhm,
in Hilo and in Kona, and different areas out there. So it was pretty cool, but it was definitely like it was wild because
mhm,
I had gone from Tennessee to California, done assessments in Southern California, and then went out to Hawaii. And so it was like this like cascading like change of environment where
yeah.
you're just like noticing different things. Like in California, they put package unit HVACs on top of the house. Like that's very common,
Mhm.
really weird and not a good idea.
Right.
But that's what they do. And then you go out to Hawaii and there's molds like fusarium that are just everywhere. And you're just like, whoa, this is like so strange. Just looking at the results from
Mhm,
different climates is so interesting, very intriguing. And then like looking at things like the EMF, right? Like
mhm,
that's intriguing too. Water is completely different everywhere. And then yeah, and then we went back and did Northern California, Kentucky, and then we finally came
Mhm.
back to Tennessee. And ironically, we actually missed a massive ice storm while we were out there doing that, that had caused like all this damage to Nashville.
Mm.
And Aaron, our co-inspector, he had his power out for like 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So um but it was really cool. It was a really good experience, and honestly, so grateful for that. And any chance like that to go to a different area to be challenged and to learn
Mhm.
how things are affecting them, and like different challenges,
Yeah.
was pretty interesting. I'm pretty used to like Tennessee problems, crawl spaces mostly, but going out to California, having a lot of slabs, and
Mhm.
then going out to Hawaii and having metal roofs and different things like that was pretty eye-opening.
Yeah,
So I think anything I
absolutely.
can do to learn, I'm open to.
Now, Jonathan, are you doing, real estate inspections?
Yeah, yeah. So we're not a like licensed state inspector with Tennessee yet. But we do like alongside a licensed inspector who's doing all of the safety concerns and code
Mhm.
violations and stuff like that. We'll do like a healthy home assessment, a
Mhm.
pre-purchase assessment. And I would say, yeah, that's a good portion of what we do. Is people calling and just being like, hey, I want to make sure the house is good for water,
Mhm.
EMF, biotoxins and mold, air quality, all these
Mhm.
different things. So that's where we can come in and really give it like that whole all-encompassing approach,
Mhm.
and test for all those things, which is, I think I'm so grateful to building biology for that, because a lot of times I think, and I'm like, yes, I am a residential mold inspector, but like I like to think of myself more so as a building biologist, because I
Mhm.
think it's so important not to just focus on one toxin or focus on one thing. It's like, what is the building doing, and what are all the different aspects, as much as we can measure them, right? Some
Mhm.
stuff it's very difficult, or things like radon you need really time to measure.
Yeah.
um but at least we can give inhabitants like the best shot of all these different measurements and all these different toxins, and just
Mhm.
knowing what's going on, right? I think it's so important because they're all symbiotic to one another too. So
Mhm.
um yeah.
Yeah, it's holistic in nature, the solutions that you're offering people. I had a friend ask about, if she should move into this home that was next to, transmission lines, power lines, like heavy duty ones in our area. And I just pulled up the photo I just pulled up the photo on Google and I'm already like, I kind of have an idea where those measurements are going to be and they're not going to be cute.
Yep.
Um, but your solution is to help people know before they make that investment, like, hey, here are
Yep.
some concerns, these are safe and healthy thresholds, the building biology thresholds. Sometimes people go, oh well, if things are being sold on the market, or if we're allowed to live in power lines, I mean, they wouldn't let us live there if it wasn't safe, right? And so
Yep.
part of the education, and I know you do this because you're an educator, is helping people understand those thresholds and those limits, that oftentimes what is set is a standard that would, like, just knock people out versus, like, what a
Yep.
healthy exposure would be. So are
Yep.
you finding yourself doing a lot of education on your home assessments?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of it is education, and like there's conversation with the client. I think
Mhm.
usually throughout the entire day, and then before and afterwards, of course, too, right? Like, so in that regard, like we like to say we're advocates, right? Or like
Mhm.
health advocates for them. And it's not just like, here's your test results, here's this, which is what a lot of inspectors do, unfortunately, like go on your merry way and
Mhm.
we'll never talk again until you have another problem. So yeah, with us, it's like we really want to like advocate for them and educate, and we include a lot of that in reporting,
Mhm.
but also in person too, and like showing them like, hey, this is what this device is doing. These are the implications, health implications, and this is how we fix it, right? Like
Mhm.
the solution is really the important part, I think, to a lot of people, and it's just they just want to know like, okay, I know there's a problem, like they may not fully understand it, although some clients are like immensely educated, like
Right.
probably have more knowledge about a lot of these things than I do,
Right.
which is wild. Because I think a lot of that is like out of necessity too,
Yeah.
right? Like they just like have not found answers, so they become their biggest advocate, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of not awesome that they couldn't find answers, but it's awesome that they're so empowered now to find those answers, and they
Mhm.
just need someone kind of to guide and verify what they're thinking, right? But a lot of people are just so interested in learning, and I think that's awesome. I
Mhm.
think that's ultimately what's gonna change the landscape of
Mhm.
building, right? Is like there's so much interest and there's so many people who are just adamant about learning and doing it right.
Mhm.
Again, out of necessity, which sucks, but it is what it is. And if that's what it takes, like I'm all for it,
Mhm.
to make a big change. So the education piece is huge, and I like to educate people, and that way, like they can take, we can change one person's life, and then they can change the people around them. As corny as that is, it's like
Yeah.
then they start talking to their friends and family. Hey, you're never gonna imagine how good I'm sleeping now because we lowered this in my room. We lowered the body voltage to this, and the person
Yeah.
might be like, I don't know what body voltage is, but then they can explain it to them, or they can point them in our direction, or to some articles, and it's like that seed of knowledge just starts growing into like this tree and this vine that just goes
Yeah.
everywhere, and it's combating all the other noise that we don't really like need to focus on necessarily,
Mhm.
or fear out there. There's so much fear in the Instagram space and
Mhm.
social media space in general, just people like trying to scare and parrot off this fear narrative that's just this negative kind of monster that grows and grows. And like we really hope to just not add to that and to actually kind of push that back
Yeah.
like a magnetic field.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
to like just spread positivity, because the dysregulation and the nervous system aspect to all of it, like I know
Mhm.
you and I both did primal trust, like
Mhm.
I needed that, like it's when you have these toxins affecting you, it becomes like your entire identity, and it's hard to like get your mindset out of that
Right.
spiral. So the last thing we need is someone doom scrolling on Instagram and just mold's gonna kill you and your family. You're gonna die. It's like, well, why don't we provide solutions and like hope
Yeah.
and answers, and not just this doom and gloom everywhere. So
Yep.
anyway, sorry for that,
No, for
but
sure. And, I actually ended up hiring Diane, who was my EMF mentor. And I
awesome.
I had thought, I'm sure like many of your clients, that I was doing a lot of the right things. I mean, I was in a way. I had been for years turning my Wi-Fi off at night. And
Yeah.
for years I had been keeping my phone away from my head and charging in another room. But bringing Diane to my property was such an educational experience because she was able to walk around with her, 5 geeky meters and find that there were magnetic fields coming from a wiring issue inside the wall. How would I have ever
Wow.
known that, And she was able to walk
Yep.
through what circuit breakers to turn off at night to cut electric fields and magnetic fields in my bedroom. She was able to
Yep.
tell me that the distance between my house, my sleeping area, and the power lines was fine. And so all of those solutions were comforting. And even if some of those solutions were not comforting, it would have put action under my feet. And I think
Yep.
with your clients, they're looking for people like you that are offering these inspections and these assessments to provide solutions and action. Sometimes the action that we need to take may feel hard at first, but it could be for our very best, for our highest and best self, that we might need to move or we might need to change environments if the solutions aren't necessarily what we want them to be. So, have you had to deliver any hard news to clients where they may had to have moved or it was expensive? Talk about that, Jonathan.
Ugh, every day. It almost feels like every day. And Diane is
Mm,
amazing, so that's
mhm,
that's incredible. But yeah, it almost feels like every day you're the bad guy, so to speak. Like you're
mm,
there to do what you're hired to do and to do a
yeah.
service, but it's almost like this weird kind of juxtaposition where you're like they want you there but they don't want you there,
Yep.
like a lot of people, typically the husbands don't want you there. But
Yeah.
shout out to the husbands, love you guys. No, that there's a lot of good husbands out there, and we usually I can turn them around by the end with my charms,
Yes, you're
but
so charming.
thank you. But no, I think that's part of it, right? Is like not being that person who like just
Mhm,
delivers things. You have to have a lot of like good bedside manner, I think, and
mhm.
and position things in a way that's understandable and not
Yeah,
like just raw, and like you're effed kind of way, like and,
yeah,
and a lot of times like they are big issues, but that there's no use in just being like these are all bad problems. Like what's the solution, So I think yeah, I mean there have been times where we definitely have delivered bad news, as bad as like your only solution is to either, you know, try and tear this thing apart or immensely shield it somehow, typically with
Mhm.
magnetic fields from outside. And then there's no guarantee
Mhm.
or to move, right? And
Yeah.
that's been, I think, the worst. Not even mold. Like mold can be pretty bad. Biotoxins can be bad. Um, and it can require a lot of remediation and a lot of costs and everything. But like a non-negotiable, I had a house one time that had a 14 milligauss field coming into it at
Mhm.
all places
Mm. Mhm.
from power lines outside.
Mhm.
And it's
And
like I told
what's
him,
the
I was like,
healthy threshold for listeners so they know the
yeah.
difference?
Yeah, so for us, we say point 0.2. I'd say point 0.2, 0.2 is
Yeah.
safe. Under 1 if you can, point 0.1.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally nothing, but
Yeah.
but it's hard to find that in a home. So um it's variable, and that's
Mhm.
where it's tricky too with building biology, and I love building biology. I think it's tricky to apply like the ideal situation a lot of times to these houses that we're in, right? Because like
Mhm.
Nate, for instance, told me like he sees a lot of like higher milligauss, like point 0.6 in houses, and that's just normal for their power
Yeah.
grid, right? That's just normal for how it's wired. So I think it's also having awareness of like the space and like focusing, of course, the standards are based on sleeping areas. I like
Mhm.
to apply that to all common areas, even outside a lot of times where if families are spending a lot of time out there in the backyard and there's a power line right by, like stray voltage, right, can be very impactful. Magnetic fields can be very impactful
Mhm.
too. But I like to get it as close to those standards as I can.
Yeah.
So yeah, zero point 0.2 to 14 milligauss was pretty alarming.
Yeah.
Um, and going into a house, I mean, I have EHS myself. So going into that house already, I had like this anxiety, like anger, just like someone was shaking me from the inside kind of feeling. And I'm like,
Mhm.
there's a problem here. That's that's definitely like not a mold or a biotoxin. It's definitely an EMF problem. You
Mhm.
can feel that your EHS starts to kind of get aggravated. So those are tough conversations, to tell a family like, hey, this is the reason that your child is having behavioral issues. I believe, like, can't prove
Mhm.
that, of course, but these are the facts, right? This is what I measured, and
Yeah.
we can try to shield it, right? Like we can try to put G iron all over the wall, and it's not going to look pretty, and it's probably going to block some of it. It's going to absorb some of it into
Mhm.
that, right? Magnetic fields will absorb into that, but then there's still going to be a level that's getting around it, and that's
Yeah.
you're talking thousands upon thousands of dollars of shielding for it maybe not to work effectively. So,
Right.
yeah, there's that. And then like also people who just like maybe you think like, oh, I think my house is pretty good, but like I just want to double verify. And then you find like a bunch of problems and you have to be the bearer of bad news.
Mhm.
It's a hard um position to be put in a lot of times. So,
Mhm.
but it's but you're also like you're in this spot where like you're there to help, right? So it's like as much as like it may upset them or it may
Mhm.
be like bad news you have to deliver, in the end, you know that it's going to help them and their health and their
Mhm.
family's health. So it's like kind of a necessary evil, I guess is the best term for it. Um, to help them get to that path to better health. So sorry
Mhm.
for my rant again, but yeah, I think there's a lot to it, and I think most days it's not like I'm ending the day like, all right, that's a great, fantastic. Nothing here, you're all good, And it's like I feel
Mm.
like if I was ending my days like that, like the times that I don't find something in someone's home after I've been there for 8 to 12 hours, scouring on my hands and knees for every single contaminant, is when I get the most worried because I'm like, what did I miss? Every house has something,
Yeah.
every house has something. And I've been back to houses 2, 3, 4 times
Mhm.
sometimes just out of like that, like knowing that there's something.
Yeah.
And typically we find it, like sometimes it takes a little while, but typically we find it. And then there's other times where it's like there really is nothing and they're just
Yeah.
outliers. But anyways, I digress. It's a like it's a position you put yourself in where like you become that person who has to deliver bad news. Like a doctor, not that extreme usually, but I mean, imagine that, right? Like having to tell someone, hey, this person didn't make it or something. Like you're just the
Mhm.
deliverer of that news. But
Mhm.
in this case, we're just trying to get people to better health, and that's really just the ultimate
Mhm.
goal. So having that bedside manner, but also being honest, I think is very, very important.
Absolutely. And the way I see it, Jonathan, is that it's not so much delivering bad news, it's more of an awakening for
Yep.
people. I think about the naturopathic doctor on my healing journey who ran my blood work and found alarmingly high levels of lead, and heavy metals. And she asked, "Where am I living or where am I working?" And I told her I was an interior designer and I was working on dusty construction sites with gases and fumes and particulate manner, oh my, right? And
Yep.
she's like, "Well, that's why you're not healing. You've got to reduce your environmental exposures."
Yep.
And I didn't believe her at first because if truly I would have if something was wrong with construction, then I would have learned about it in design school, right? And so I met her advice with resistance.
Yep.
And I think sometimes people will meet guidance with resistance, but ultimately for me, it was an awakening. And so I really see you as a beacon of helping others awaken to their journeys, and this is part of the process. And sometimes when we kick and scream, it's part of it. And
Yep.
that's for people to work through and deal with. And so, one of the ways that I've noticed that you and your other co inspector, Aaron, have
Yeah.
been solving some of this potential for doom is your humor. And I love that you all have brought in comedy into this, at least on your social media platform. I think
Yeah.
it alleviates some of this fear, some of this mechanism towards, "Oh, no." And I just wanna commend you all for doing that, and keep doing the humor. Did that just suddenly, like, peek through one day? I mean, I know you are naturally funny, like, you're a natural comedian,
Thank you.
but did something kinda slip in the business of like, "Oh, we should be more funny about this?" Like, kinda what happened with that?
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that, and it's funny because Aaron and I were just talking about that yesterday. Because it's like it seems like our humor videos, which Aaron makes a lot of the content, most of the content now.
Uh-huh.
He's just a content genius.
Yeah.
Um, but I think a lot, yeah. It's just our personalities, you know. Like I think
Mhm.
we just kind of like we always joke around and
Mhm.
quote movies and. We're big into like Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan and stuff like that. Like some of the like funny like old bodybuilders. I'll do Arnold voice with him a lot and stuff. So it's like it's so strange because like I think back to like Aaron came on pretty recently, but like I think back to all those houses I did alone, and it's like you're just like by yourself a lot of times,
Mhm.
like thinking about funny things or like your mind is just spiraling. You're wearing a mask for 8 hours, so you're like losing oxygen and
Yeah, you
maybe
look like
going a little
Ghostbusters.
crazy. Yeah, we do. Who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters. But but yeah, no, I think it just kind of came about where Aaron and I like he the reason like we brought Aaron on is not just because he's so knowledgeable about all this through going through it and
Mhm.
is just such a good person, but like just his mindset, right? Like
Mhm.
of not having that doom and gloom, and not spreading that like fear and that kind of like despair. Like a
Right.
lot of times it's hopelessness. And so like when we started talking about content more and started planning that more and he started taking on more of it, we both agreed like let's make it like funny, like some of our stuff, like to make it funny because like all of this is so serious. You see a post of just like
Yeah.
this is how bad your house could be and you don't even know you're gonna die, and it's just like hits me like me and him like we just laugh at that stuff because we're just like, dude,
Yeah.
this is like so extreme, like
Yeah.
not that we don't take it seriously, but it's like who needs that, like we need some
Yeah.
humor. We need some like just people to like breathe and just like be
Uh-huh.
human and laugh and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's like even with clients, try to make jokes and like, of course, take it seriously, be professional. But yeah, him and I just kind of came about. We're like, we should do some skits and like funny stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And funny enough, like those videos don't do as well as like the ones where like we're showing like other
Yeah.
stuff or like educational, which we try to
Yeah.
do too, right? But we
Totally. The
try to like
doom and gloom
mix it.
videos do great,
I
on
know
the
it's
algorithm.
clickbait. It's all clickbait, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I refuse, man. Like, I refuse to just
Mhm.
go down that spiral of just
Mhm.
searching for clicks and like doing whatever it'll take
Mhm.
content wise. I think like you just be yourself and be natural and
Mhm.
use your humor and whatnot. And I think that's kind of that is what we're trying to do, right? Is like just put our personalities into it and show
Yeah.
like that we're human too, that we've been through it too and like still go through these issues. Like my house is not perfect after
Mhm.
hundreds of thousands in rebuild and remediation. Like it's still not
Mhm.
perfect, and like we still have these issues. We don't live in these like golden meccas of homes
Right.
that have not one single spore in them. So
Yeah.
I think Aaron and like that's like our thing is like trying to humanize and like
Mhm.
uh try to like really make ourselves like I'm searching for the word, but like to be like more approachable and to be like more
Mhm.
on that like kind of humble level. Like we're just guys figuring out too, like we're just people
Mhm.
trying to figure it out too. And show some of our humor in that and hopefully mix that with educational
Mhm.
aspects. So it's a little bit more like enjoyable to watch and not so much of a nervous system provoking fight or
Mhm.
flight panic response that we're getting out of people. And that's why
Mhm.
they want to comment and ask something is because they're so scared now that they watched your video. Like that's not what we want. We don't want to attract
Right.
that. We want to spread positivity and humor if we can,
Yeah.
through that. So thank you for saying
Well,
that because I
yeah.
appreciate it.
I laughed so hard just yesterday watching the video about your dance party in the crawl space. I just verbally just started laughing. Because the humor is needed in this space. I think it can get serious and heavy.
Yeah.
And yes, it's real things that can get dark. I mean, from EMF to indoor air quality to water quality and beyond. I mean, these can be heavy subjects, but they don't have to be. And
Yep.
I think more people need to realize that there are building biology practitioners like yourself and inspectors like yourself that do these things, that offer these things. I don't offer these inspections, but there are people like you who do this professionally. And it's
Yep.
so worth their time, energy, and effort. One, to have you in their home for 8 hours and learn from you, and
Yep.
two, have a home full of solutions provided by you. So
Yep.
to me, it makes sense. And I'm always recommending folks like, hey, if you have any questions, go to the building biology website, find a practitioner in your area. It's good to know that you travel. I don't know if you will be decreasing your travel, but you know, you're not that far from me. You're in Tennessee. I'm in South
I
Carolina, so
know.
it's not that far.
Yep.
Um, but I do like to recommend practitioners to folks who just need a full home assessment. I mean, I even think about realtors. Like, realtors need to be aware of the homes that they're selling. Are they even safe
Yep.
to begin with? My husband is a real estate agent, and so he's very aware of all the things that I'm aware.
I
And
bet.
so,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. I think humanity, this is kind of getting into like deeper psychological stuff, but like humanity is gonna have to slow down in all sectors. The reason why we are in this position today is because of urbanization and consumerism and technology and faster and better.
Yep.
But we're going to have to see the housing industry look more like the slow food movement. It's careful, it's considerate. The slow food movement isn't rushing through and getting everything like through without it being inspected. It's really, I'm hoping that with all of these great minds like yourself and all of our colleagues working together to create a whole new movement. Instead of trying to fix our current situation, we're going to have to just create a new situation.
Yes. 100%. No, you said it. I think that's
Yeah.
so important. That's what I tell people too. I'm like, all that is so true. And like we can inspect houses till the end of time,
Yeah.
like long after I'm gone. There will still be a million houses to inspect. It's
Yeah.
almost every house.
Mhm.
But if we, like you said, if we don't create the new movement or like just change something, take it back to basics, back
Mhm.
to nature, back to nature is the gold standard,
Mhm.
back to the basics, right? And not just like we want this and we want it now. We want to build these massive, developments, and we're not going to think about health. We're going to leave lumber out in the rain, and we're just going to cause
Mhm.
problems to begin with out of lack of knowledge and lack of understanding or lack of
Yep.
foresight. Like that all needs to change. So I'm with you 100%. Like it does almost have to be like a rebirth of
Mhm.
taking a breath and being slow and understanding things,
Mhm.
and then also like hopefully being able to retrain a lot of these builders and a lot of these people who are in the industry to understand that the health
Mhm.
implications of their actions, and like I think like people get mad at these builders and whatnot, and I don't
Mhm.
think most times it's not nefarious. I want to believe. I think some of it is like chosen negligence maybe, but
Mhm.
I think with like the re-education aspect and being able to like help people understand and frame their mindsets, like I've been able to help builders understand things a lot better. Just yesterday, I was
Yeah.
talking to a client had a mold issue in their shower, and the guy who's rebuilding their shower reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, how do you want it done? Like,
Wow.
what's going to prevent the problem in the future?" And I was like, "This is a guy that like
Mhm.
I want to work with, you know, because he's actually not just egotistically approaching something like,
Mhm.
I've been building stuff for 30 years. Who are you? You're just some kid who goes to biology of whatever. It's like, then you get that sometimes. And I'm just like, can't help you, like if that's how you want to approach things, like I'll give you
Yeah,
what I know. And like, I don't know
right.
everything, I'm here to learn from them too. I'm not a builder. I
Totally.
never built something with my bare hands. Like that's incredibly impressive. And I want to learn from them too. All I
Mhm.
know is what to recommend. And from my knowledge of what will likely work better than what was done
Mhm.
before. Right. Um,
Mhm.
in line with those building biology standards. So, it's cool to see that like there is hope and it's not all doom and gloom, right? Like not every builder sucks and this and that, which I think people get into that mindset too, where it's like, all
Mhm.
these people suck, like, and no one's building correctly, da 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 da. And it's like maybe we just need to like have some empathy for those people because that's how they were taught and what they understand, and
Yeah.
then like help them shift that by learning from them and offering what we know too,
Yeah.
right? And working together. It's like it shouldn't be us against them. It should be cohesiveness so that we can all rise together and do better
Mhm.
for everyone. I think that's
Mhm.
the knowledge abounds when we take a positive approach to it rather than like us versus them and I know better than you and ego, which you
Mhm.
find a lot in construction, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and, I didn't learn any of this in interior design school.
Yep.
How would I have known unless I personally got sick from my own job sites? I would have never suspected that exposures to toxins and pollutants, etcetera, could have exasperated illness in me. I just wouldn't
Yep.
have known that. And if it's not taught in school, then how would they know? So you're really right that it's a lack of education, and there are going to have to be certain people that step up as leaders to help facilitate change and to
Yep.
help re-educate. It might be a whole nother world we're creating, right?
Yeah.
Like if there is a societal split, that might
Yep.
happen. Um, but I think it's gonna take people that not just want to know the facts, but they actually want to stand up and do something about it. And
Yeah.
they're willing to sacrifice their old practices or methods to do something about it. So,
Yes.
well, Jonathan, I've loved this conversation, and I think what you're doing is incredible. And I want you to keep going, and I want you to just be encouraged that you are helping so many people. Is there anything that you would like to tell the listener today about what you do, about assessments, or anything that we discussed?
Well, thank you for that, Lauren. And yeah, definitely. Thank you for everything that you do and for again, like being more of a mentor to me, than just a classmate or a friend. I think that's
Yeah.
just uh so awesome. So thank you so much. And thanks for having me on to be able to spread our company and what we're doing and everything in between. I would say, yeah, there's a lot of good movements coming out right now. Brian Johnson, one of our fellow building biologists, just
Mhm.
started the Healthy Building Alliance, which is going to be huge. That's
Mhm.
really awesome. So to that point about like changing things, I think that's what it's going to take, right? It's like building these communities and
Mhm.
all of them intersecting building biology, all these communities, what you're doing with BBID, which is
Mhm.
awesome. I think that's so
Thank you.
immensely cool. Like when I saw that, I was just like cheering because I'm like, there's so much that's
Yeah.
needed in that space. And of course, like you said, like it's an immense amount of work and all of us are
Mhm.
are low on time. So just the fact that you're taking that time to like build that and give that to other people, I think is
Mhm.
really, really commendable. So huge props on that, Lauren.
Thank you. Thank
But
you.
yeah, if anyone needs help, they can reach out jfhealthyhomes.com or Instagram if you want to go watch some funny videos and no doom and gloom and give your mind a little break,
Mhm.
or some educational stuff. We're always there for that and try to get back to people as much as we can. That's a little harder as of late, but reach out via the website. We can send you a contact form. We do travel. We're trying to keep that a little bit like lower or more like centralized, where it's like, hey, we're going to be in the East Coast during this time, or we're going to
Sure.
be in Ohio during this time, which are actually two places we're going to. And then try to get as many people on at that
Mhm.
at that moment as we can, just so it makes a little bit more sense. And then
Yeah.
everyone can kind of get like a little bit of a price break there too, and we can do bulk
Right.
discounts. Um, but yeah, I just want to help people understand that
Yeah.
like they're not alone. Um, there are a lot of issues that can happen in the home, but it's not all the end of the world.
Mhm.
Take a breath and reach out if you need help or guidance or virtual consultation,
Mhm.
anything like that. We're here for it, and just want to help people get to that path to
Mhm.
better health in any way, shape, or form that is feasible to them. So
Yeah,
just grateful to everyone, and grateful to you, Lauren, for having us.
beautiful. Solution-oriented action.
Yeah.
Just it's amazing. So thank you, Jonathan.
Thank
And
you.
I'm so excited to see what you are doing in the future. And I'm just impressed. 120 plus houses and growing in a year. What incredible. You're
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you. My knees would beg to differ, but I appreciate you.
Yeah, listeners really have to go look at the fashion get up that you are regularly in on sites. I mean,
I wear it at home too.
do you scare the kids?
Yeah, I just come home in that. I just wear it. So I sleep in it, I get up in it, I shower in it. That's every single day.
PPE all day.
All day, man. You're never safe enough. That's how I defeated my mold problems in the home. I just wear PPE all
I still have mold in the home, but I'm in PPE, it's fine.
the time. I just live in PPE. It's a really great solution, honestly, because no remediation is needed. You just, take off your mask to eat a little bit or drink a little bit. Right now, I'm being exposed, but after this interview, I'm going to get right back into my PPE.
If you and Aaron come out with a fashion line, I'm going to be very upset with you.
Yes. Well, you know that.
PPE, no mold remediation necessary.
Yes. Well, you'll be top of the list to hire for designing for that. So
Gosh.
we'll reach out soon.
All right, great. We'll get our orders in.
I love it. I love
All
it.
right, thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you, Lauren.